other day, and 7 of the directors had never bought a share of stock with their own money. Now, they've been given stock, but not one of the, I mean, I didn't say not one, 7 of the directors had never actually bought a share of stock. And there they are, making decisions on who should be CEO and how they should be paid and all that sort of thing. But they've never felt like shelling out a dollar themselves.
One thing I think is that I have avoided all my life compensation consultants. To me, it's sort of, I hardly can find the words to express my contempt.
I will say this, if the board hires a compensation consultant after I go, I will come back.
Mad. So I think there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in this field, and I don't see it going away.
Oh, it isn't going to go away.
Yeah.
No, it's going to get worse. I mean, if you look at, the way compensation gets handled, everybody looks at everybody else's proxy statement and says we can't possibly hire a guy that isn't the.
It's ridiculous.
So on, and the human relations department, work for the CEO, come in and suggest a consultant. What consultant is ever going to get another assignment? He says you should pay your CEO below down in the 4th quartile because you're getting a 4th quartile result. I mean, it just, it isn't that the people are evil or anything. It's just the nature of the situation. It produces a result that is not consistent with how representatives of the owners should behave.
It's even worse than that. Capitalism is the golden goose that we all live on. And if people generally get so they have contempt for it because they don't like the pay arrangements and the system, your capitalism may not last as well. And that's like killing the golden goose. So I think the existing system has a lot wrong with it.
I think there is something coming in pretty soon. I may be wrong about this, where companies are going to have to put in their proxy statement the CEO's pay to the average pay or something like that. That isn't going to change anything. I mean,
it won't change a thing.
It won't change a thing, and it'll cost us.
And by the way, it won't get any headlines either. It'll be tucked away.
It'll cost us a lot of money, with 367,000 people employed around the world, and we'll hope to get something that makes it somewhat simpler so we can use estimates or something of the sort. But to get the median income or whatever, however the rules may read, and
that's what consultants are for, Warren.
Yeah, it is human nature that produces this, and I write in this letter to the managers every 2 years. I said the only excuse I won't take on something is that everybody else is doing it. But of course, everybody else is doing it is exactly the rationale for why people did not want to count the cost of stock options as a cost. I mean, it was ridiculous. All these CEOs went to Washington, and they got the Senate, I think, to vote 88-9 to say that stock options aren't a cost. And then a few years later, that it became so obvious that they finally put it in, so it was a cost. It reminded me of Galileo or something. I mean, all these guys.
Worse. It was way worse. The Pope behaved better to Galileo than he was.
Well, anyway, I would hope, like I say, somebody, whoever, and it doesn't even have to be, I'm not talking about the current successor or anybody else. I mean, these successors down the line are probably going to have gotten very, very wealthy by the time they're running Berkshire, and the incremental value of wealth gets very close to zero at some point, and there is a chance to use it as a different sort of model. But I don't have any problem if a system is devised that recognizes retained earnings. I've never heard anybody talk about it. At the 20 boards I've been on, or if you and I were partners in a business, and we kept retaining earnings in the business, and I kept having the value to buy a portion of you out at a constant price, you'd say this is idiocy. But of course, that's the way all the option systems are designed, and it's better to be for the CEO and for the consultants, and of course, usually if there's some correlation between what CEOs are paid and what boards are paid. If CEOs were getting paid at the rate that they got paid 50 years ago, adapted to present dollars, director pay would be lower. So it's got all these built-in things that, to some extent, sort of kindle the.
No Berkshire director is in it for the money.
Well, they are. They own a lot of stock, and they bought it in the market just like this.
Yeah. No,
shareholder did.
It's a very old-fashioned system.
I looked at one company the other day, and 7 of the directors had never bought a share of stock with their own money. Now they've been given stock, but not one of the. I mean, I didn't say not one. 7 of the directors had never actually bought a share of stock, and there they are, making decisions on who should be CEO and how they should be paid and all that sort of thing. But they've never felt like shelling out a dollar themselves. Now they've been given a lot of stock. It's we're dealing with human nature here, folks, and that what you want is to have a system that works well in spite of how human nature is going to drive it. And we've done awfully well in this country in that respect. I mean, American businesses overall has done very, very well for the Americans generally. But not every aspect of it is exactly what you want to teach your kids.